You've all heard the gold digger phrase. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is also mine. Well, this applies to most governments. And for stretches, and for a lot of our existence, that didn't apply universally to America. It does now. And I raised a huge fuss over Janet Yellen when she was Secretary of Treasury, over her intention to tax unrealized income. And people didn't take that very seriously and watch the videos I put out on it. I'm telling you, you better pay attention to this because the final form of this is being beta tested in California as it's coming into line. I believe it's January 1 of 2027, and it's going to sweep the nation. And what was once yours will no longer be yours. It'll be theirs. I'm Dave Hodges. This is the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. And hey, thank you for joining us and for our friends around the world. Yeah, I pray for peace too. We're all hurting with this ridiculous war and the oil shortage problems, energy problems, inflationary spikes that are off the charts. We're all on the same page. Our president has been hijacked by foreign interests, someone who I supported through three elections. It's hard to admit that this is where we're at, but this is where we're at. But there's one thing you can have that's not inflationary, it's not destructive, it's not going to take away your health and vitality. In fact, just the opposite. And it's this, the Nanosoma liquid spray. You know my story, pneumonia, then I had RSV, strep lung linings. Pneumonia went away very quickly. And I have no idea why I got that sick. No idea. I was actually very healthy. And all of a sudden one day I woke up and I was miserable. But the doctors were telling me the lung linings are coming back, Dave, not at your age, maybe not at any age. And so I had bad things in my future. Scotty Sachs, my good friend at Sovereign Radio and Salem Radio, gave me this. He says, Dave, do this. Now, maintenance is 5 sprays once a day. He said, you could do it every hour in the hour because it's natural. Now, it doesn't cure anything, but it's preventative and restorative because it boosts your immune system properties. Within a week, I was walking up the stairs I couldn't walk up. Within a month, I was back in the gym, and that brings in exhibit number two, the nanosoma gel. The old joint inflammation pain that really caused me to become more inactive resurfaced. Scotty said, Dave, this varies on how long it works, but try this. 8 weeks later, I was a new man doing things I hadn't done in 25 years. And that continues to today. And then, of course, they have the skin cream as part of the starter pack. Three together, 15% off. If I had my wish, everybody in America would be on these three products. You can start and you can have a better tomorrow than you have today. Go to iwantmyhealthback.com/Dave Hodges. iwantmyhealthback.com/Dave Hodges. And I remind you, this channel exists, one, to promote the Lord. Number two, to support our country and the ideals it was founded on. And three, right, should be loyal to your family. And not in that order, God, family, country. So keep that in mind as we go through. And when we take someone apart who deserves it because they're a threat to our liberty, our prosperity, our health and wealth, what do we do a lot? Well, we pray for them. We want them to change. We don't want them to be buried. We're not looking to harm anybody here, but we do have to tell the truth. And Janet Yellen is a satanic dictator on steroids. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. Now, she's out of the picture, but her ideas still linger, and they're scary. They're scary. Let me share with you how scary they are. You buy a house. 30 years ago, it was worth $100,000. Today, it's worth $800,000. Well, that doesn't benefit you because now you're paying 8 times the property tax you were paying 30 years ago based on assessed value. You don't want your home to escalate in value. Some people act like, oh, it's good. Our home is now worth $1 million. Well, good. Your property tax is eating into your discretionary income. So you don't benefit. But Yellen and her type came along and said, you have unrealized income. Unrealized means you haven't benefited from it. So, what the big, beautiful bill does, and this is only the first step, what it's going to do in 2027 is that when you go to sell your property or pass it along to your heirs, you'll pay a tax on the assessed value. Now, being a senior citizen, you should get a $250,000 discount. So rather than it being $700,000 it's taxed, it'll be 450,000. Well, can your kids afford that? That could add up to anywhere between 70 and $80,000 in taxes. You go, no. See, a lot of kids right now are fanning this out, especially the ones who work in accounting, and they're turning down inheritance like this because they can't afford the tax. Same thing on farms, because farms are capital rich, cash poor, and the capital is exorbitant. And a lot of the kids trying to inherit their parents' farms, we can't afford it. And I think this is intentional because who ends up buying the farm? It's private equity. Then you get corporate farms. And we've talked about the problem with corporate farms to your quality of food as well as the price of your food. But this isn't about food. This is about your property. Now, we're going to have a part two on this because I'm going to tell you what they're doing in California in part two. But let's just talk about this right now. Your home has appreciated in value, and you've had ups and downs, but overall, the trend curve is vertical and to the right, which means you're going to owe the government a lot of money. And it's soon going to be not that you have to pay it upon sale, you'll have to pay it in an upcoming tax year. You heard me correctly. You could end up in 2 years with a 50, 60, 70, $100,000 tax bill you weren't counting on. And I don't think I need to explain to you about IRS collection methods. This is called unrealized income. You know, when Yellen was talking about this, I saw something on the Fox Business Channel. I think it was actually reproduced on YouTube. And I said, why isn't this everywhere? This affects every homeowner in America. And it's a supreme ripoff because you didn't want the prices to go up and you're not benefiting from it. You're being punished by it because of increased property taxes. And now to add insult to injury, now they're going to take even more of your money and to the point where you won't even own it and you won't be able to pass it along to your heirs. You should be upset about this. I'm furious, but I remain happy. Be glad in the day the Lord has created. But we need to become aware. And what do we do? Well, sometimes a 2-year-old temper tantrum is your best defense. And when it's done collectively and the whole nursery is in an uproar, now you start getting people's attention because this is an election year. And if this presentation was circulated to say 100,000 people, you're going to have easily 1 million to 3 million people know about this. It didn't. And I'll just give you one action. It's easy to do. Go to Google, put in your zip code. Who are my representatives? 2 senators, 1 congressperson. And you write them. And it's the same letter. Copy, paste, send. And you tell them, you may take down my financial empire, but collectively, if you don't reverse course, we're going to take down your political empire. That means no more insider trading, free travel, a retirement that nobody else gets except for CEOs. All of a sudden, their face becomes pale and the color goes out of it. But people say contacting them doesn't work. I agree. Individually, it does not work. Collectively, you can make this an issue. And the good news is this, is that you have an alternative media now. If we just had, from 30 years ago, a mainstream media that's owned by special interests, you would continue to not see or hear anything about this in their venues. Many of you are saying, Dave, I've never heard of this before, or I heard about it before, but I didn't really take you seriously. Well, this is public information. You can research this, just AI, search engine, whatever you, but I'm telling you, you're going to arrive at the place I'm at, and California is beta testing it. And in part two, we're going to come back and we're going to tell you it's not just your home. This is where it gets really scary, really scary. In fact, I'm going to throw a word at you for you to linger on: feudalism. If these taxation policies come to fruition, you'll be no more than a middle-aged, not middle-aged like 40, 50, middle ages like feudalism and the moat and the castles and the dungeons. And you're going to be in an economic dungeon. We'll be back with more. If you have not signed up for our newsletter, you should, because most of what we do ends up in our newsletter. It's one-stop shopping. It's free, and over 50,000 people are doing it. All you have to do is go to thecommonsenseshow.com. Upper right-hand corner is the newsletter link. Put in your email address. That's all we need. And don't sell your data. We would never do that. And you'll get yours the very next day. Pretty easy, right? Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here in part two.